Hello everybody, my name is Lois, I'm from France and I'm volunteer in Smokinya Foundation, and I'm glad to welcome you today in this testimonial video with Vladan, who is also volunteer in Smokinya Foundation, and the last month he take part in training courses, and he will take time for us to share his experience in these training courses. How are you, Vladan?
Hello Lois, I'm great, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. So, first of all, Vladan, I want to ask you, how did you find these training courses?
Well, since I'm volunteering at Smokinya Foundation, we send a lot of people to youth exchanges and training courses, and among all of the training courses and youth exchanges, I noticed this basic synergy training, Skills Up in Austria, and I applied for it, and I went on the training course.
Okay, so if I understand, you found the information, everything, and why this training course is particular? Because I guess there is many topic, and why this training courses was attractive for you?
Well, yes, as you said, there are many different topics on Erasmus Plus training courses, and most of them are interesting and attractive to me. But since I'm already doing volunteering, it's not really. It needs to be really interesting for me in order to attend it. And particularly about basic synergy training, I heard a lot of good stuff, a lot of nice words about it, and a lot of mystery around it. So I realized that it could be interesting experience, interesting experiment for myself, for stuff that I do in my life, and also to put myself under some kind of a challenge, because one of these mysteries that I heard before going is that it's quite challenging, quite time consuming, quite intensive. So yes, I in a way wanted to test my abilities and my capabilities of doing stuff.
Okay, and go to the training courses, how you do, because you have to travel, and you have to reach the venue of the training. So how these processes work for you and also for the participant?
Okay, so basic ground rule is that travel is reimbursed and paid for you. So in a way that you find a economical and green way of transportation. So you're not allowed, for example, to use taxis, but you are allowed to use flights, trains, buses. And since I got approved for this training course 1 week in advance, I needed to figure out the best and most suitable way for me to travel. So yeah, I first took a plane, then I had a bus, and in the meantime, while I was traveling with the bus, we got stuck on one border. So I was in quite of a problem, because the organizers made this agreement that we all meet in Vienna. The training itself was in Neunagelberg. It's a village in north of Austria, and I needed to be in Vienna by I think it was 2:30, and it was already around 11, and I was quite far away from Vienna. So I understood that I had a problem there. So because there was a huge line of buses in front of me and behind me, and I realized that we are going to wait here for some time, and that I'm not going to make on this place that I need to make in order to attend this training course. So in a way I just exited the bus, because there was a lot of people around the buses waiting for the border check, and one person actually was just passing by, and I asked him where is he going, and he said he's going to Vienna. So from this point I continued with him, and yes, I reached in exact time, and my traveling was successful.
Okay. A bit stressful, but successful at the end.
Stressful, problematic, challenging, but in the end, yeah, I was in Vienna in the proper time.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, about the training course, how was it? What was the training course, the name, and how was it in general for you?
Okay, the training course name was Skill Up, Basic Synergy Training. It's kind of methodology, and it was, as I assumed it will be, it was intensive, it was time consuming, but there were things that I couldn't assume before going to the training, and that's how am I going to react, and how am I going to behave during these 9 days with 20 and more other people from various European countries. And in the end, it all went in a way for me, for my experience, because as I understood the training, it's about your experience and about you making the best for yourself. So for me personally, it was quite challenging in some moments. It was quite tiring in most of the moments, but in the end of the day, when you finish everything, when you go to sleep, you really feel satisfied, and you really feel like discovering new stuff about yourself. You feel like improving yourself in a way that you can understand what's happening in your head. Also, a lot of sessions during the training course are related with sharing these feelings, these thoughts. For me, it was somehow challenging in the beginning to share everything and to not only to open up, but also to actually realize for myself what is this that I'm experiencing. So this was somehow biggest takeaway for me to actually in the beginning, of course, because a lot of stuff happened, a lot of activities happened, a lot of realizations happened, but the one that left me the most mark at this point is that is the one related with how to actually share your thoughts and how to actually see your thoughts for yourself, in this case myself.
So it's something like it's not like you learn methodology. I mean, you learn kind of methodology, but it's oriented on you and to understand how you are, for example, to approach your your reaction in every moment, and to understand more for continue with this, but to be aware about how you are.
Yes, exactly. There are methodologies. There are also concrete tools that you can use that were presented during the training course. But all of these tools, let's say, are available, of course, anyways, for me and for everybody else. But yes, as you said, it's mostly about the person participating. In this case, it was me. For some other participant, it's them. And also finding yourself in a way for yourself, for your professional doing and well-being, and also for your for me again, because I think for everybody it was different, but for me personally, realizing the group dynamic and the way that you function with other individuals when you are together and when you have the common goal and the common vision that you share and that you want to pursue.
And during this training courses, basic synergy training, as you said, how is the trainer? Who is the trainer? It's someone with experience in youth work, or someone like a teacher, or someone random people who want to share tools and experience, or is professional people?
Okay, so in this particular case, we had two trainers, Anna Šipos and Fabrizio Gallo, from Hungary and from Italy, and they have a lot of years of experience in the field of youth work. So this is something like fact-wise. There are two people. They introduce themselves as trainers, and the training starts. And then after some time, I realized that in most of the cases, I was the person who was in charge of my actions. I was the person who made decisions. So I would say that in this particular training, the trainers are there actually to support and guide you in a way that is totally different from the thing that you mentioned, teachers or random people. I got the impression that they were trying to guide me and the other participants in a way that we figure out stuff for ourselves and that we make the most out of the training for ourselves. Of course, they were the ones who made all these sessions. They were keeping track of what's happening, what's not happening, what's improving in their eyes, what's not improving in their eyes. But yet again, it's you who makes the decision if something is improving or not improving.
So it's auto-evaluation. I mean, you take tools and then you deal with, but it's for you. There is no result expected by the trainer, let's say. It's really how you feel about the training and how you approach the training. It's about you, not about like at school, for example, where you got point and blah blah blah. Here it's really like you live the training, let's say. The auto-evaluation, right?
Exactly, yes. You are the one who take the action, you are the one who evaluates the action.
Okay.
But besides this, in this particular case, there was also somehow kind of written assignments where it's fact-wise, and it's a fact whether you did it or not. It's not that you need to evaluate too much. It's either you did it or you didn't do it. And yet again, it's up to you if you're going to do it or not going to do it. It's your assignment, your evaluation. It's not concerning anybody else.
Okay, and what did you learn during this training?
Well, as I mentioned, working in the groups, dynamic in different sizes of the groups, discovering how I function, how I think in stressful situations, and realizing how much of the stuff I personally do without even knowing, be it body movement or thoughts or anything. And as later I discovered in the training, these two are very connected, at least for me, the body and mind themselves, because there is also a lot of body and mind exercises, which include also physical activities. But yet again, it was not about achieving some kind of universal result. It was about discovering what was important for me. So at some point I realized, okay, it was in the beginning, it was hard to switch the thinking of having a unique
let's do it, and
yeah, it was difficult to have a fact-based result, to have a result that you can put in frames and measure, to put on scale and say, okay, this is this, this is that. Because in also these days after training, I have a lot of different thoughts and a lot of different how to say, flash moments when I remember something from the training, and I can actually see it in real life, and I can see myself doing it. I can see other people doing it. But yet again, I strive to think about the stuff and the actions that I take and that are influencing my life. So yes, this would be the key point that I would say about what have I actually learned about on this training. And of course, when it's a training course with Erasmus Plus, I think it's the first thing that comes to your mind is meeting 25-30 other people from 7, 8, 9 different European countries, discovering new accents, new languages, new cultures. It's something that I already expected and that I already experienced in a way during my volunteering and other activities that I took part in. So yes, it was all this, but for me again it was more personal and more self-oriented.
And during this training and this session, was there one moment where you was like, oh, you feel not comfortable with it, but after did it, you feel like, oh, this is really good, and like insight, you know, some things that you learned about yourself and you didn't expect during this. It's happened this kind of moment to you, or?
It happened, a lot of these moments, but the one that I would take out and say, okay, this was a breakthrough moment, or however you can call it, was the moment when I realized that things that are said are not always said, you know, I would say, things that are said are sometimes said in a way that can be confusing for me. So, as most of the people, I assume, I make a lot of assumptions. So even when I get the clear rules, clear list of stuff that needs to be done, I still make assumptions. Even though I'm aware of it, even though I'm trying not to make them, I still make them. And that becomes a problem. That becomes the moment for me when I say, okay, how am I going to do it? How is it that me, Vladan, personally, is going to do this thing? And it comes from the fact that I assume stuff. I assume what's going to happen, and I try to predict it in a way that is not quite reasonable. So yes, this kind of moment was a realization moment for me, where I figured out, okay, sometimes you cannot know at all what's going to happen. You know few facts, but there is a lot of pieces missing for you to predict stuff and to understand what's actually going to be in the future second or week or whatever.
Great, it sounds really interesting. And how you can use it in your daily life, professional life, social life, Is there something that you can take from this training that you now decide, like at the end of the training, like, okay, now I will be like this, like this, like this for this situation or this situation?
Actually, there is a lot of stuff, and besides, okay, now I'm going to more concrete sphere of things that are that you can see and observe and feel, let's say. Besides all of these communication skills and stuff like that, and the realization that I made about myself, in this particular training there was also a lot of kind of practical takeaways. The two of them, let's say, yeah, I will take only two of them because they come to my mind first, is planning tool that we were introduced to and that we practice how to use, but we're also challenged to actually use it in the same moment when we were introduced, to use it for real life, not just for practicing purposes, but also to make a concrete plan of actions. What are we going to do on the first day when we come home, and on the days after, weeks, months, years. And besides that, we also got interesting proposal that we have a person which is going to support us while we are doing this, and who are we going to support to. So us participants were like spread in pairs, and everybody got this person, which is quite interesting, and I think it's going to be quite useful for my upcoming months. And yes, I'm quite happy about this fact. And yeah.
Great. And do you have any short story or something like you want to share, like good moments that you will remember forever, maybe, but something like short that you can explain, something funny, I don't know, or something that you didn't expect in a training?
Okay, so I'm going to mention like a few random stuff that's in my head right now. First of all, I had no expectation that we are going to do some sporty stuff, but at some point, quite randomly and quite out of the training itself, I was playing 3 different sports at one evening, which was quite interesting because I don't do a lot of sports these days, and it was quite interesting to see that me and some other participants are just like randomly playing, fooling around, nothing serious, but still we were participating in something that I really didn't feel for a long time. Besides that, we had this situation when we were outside in somewhere in north of the Austria, and we were stopped by police. And it was quite interesting situation because it was a group of 5-6 people with us, and we were all the participants. Us being outside was also part of the program, and the policeman was quite curious about what are we doing actually, because we were actually in a really small village where people started to be suspicious about what are these people actually doing outside. And in the end we had a really pleasant conversation with the policeman, and he said that if we have any other troubles, that we say that we were already controlled and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a quite positive and quite supporting experience to see that somebody who doesn't know about this type of activities is actually ready to support it if he or she understands the value of it. And yeah, besides all of the random moments, there is this thing that in the hours that we had after or before the program, there was a lot of situations, and the fact is that we were on a lake. The venue itself was on a lake, so at some point people were just casually started going inside the lake, and sometimes they were late for, I mean, it was already like the last sessions of the training. So yeah, in the end we had like 5-6 wet people sitting in the room and listening to the sessions and to the program.
Okay, and what could you tell to people who are like hesitating for going basic synergy training? Because as I understand, it's special training, let's say, bit different from other training, but how you can attract people, or what you can share to people to go in this training, this kind of training courses with Erasmus Plus or even volunteering program?
Okay, so as you said, basic synergy is something quite specific, and something that requires quite a lot of how to say, motivation and intention to actually go and do stuff. I know a lot of people which would stop this training. In my judgment, they would stop it at some point. They would say, okay, this is not for me. When I first arrived, I saw a lot of people that I had same opinion about, but in the end it was a group same number of people on the first and on the last day of the training, which was quite interesting understanding for me. So the fact is that I would just suggest it. I would say it in a way, if you really want to do something different, if you really want to discover some parts of your brain and some, how to say, parts of this world, because for me it's separated into two things: what happens here and what happens around you. I mean, it's sometimes hard to define what's in your head and what's actually in reality. This training for me put somehow everything together and made me realize what is actually the difference between what I see, what you see, what somebody else sees, and what's actually in reality. And with the volunteering project it's a bit more complicated because it's usually more than 10 days, and with this I would suggest to people that if they really want to experience other culture in more natural way, and while doing this they can also improve the society where they are living and where they are volunteering. And on top of these two things, they can improve themselves. I mean, I think it will be enough for most of the people who are actually willing to do it. For the people who are not willing to do, I think there is no more things that needs to be said and no more arguments about it.
Okay. So thank you very much, Vladan, for sharing your experience. You can find in our link in bio many opportunity for Bulgarian people and many training courses that Smokinya Foundation is partnering in. I wish you nice day, and I don't know how to conclude this.
Yes, thank you very much, Luis.
Thank you.
It was pleasant to talk with you, and have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Bye.